So you can see I've got a busy day coming up tomorrow, all these things. But I think a birthday is also an opportunity for all of us to reaffirm the mystery of our life, and to really feel, even life is difficult sometimes. We know very well it's not always smooth, but I think a birthday is an opportunity for us to really come back to basics in terms of what we're doing and what we're thinking and what we're feeling, because it's certain ways of thinking, feeling, emotions, they do block the natural unfolding of our realization of conscious presence. Does this conscious presence exist even when there is not a person to perceive it? Of course, absolutely. And this is the mystery. We can't understand this with our thinking, because thinking is it's so limited. I know we've deified thinking, and we assume that if we can't think it, then it's non-existent. But this is not true. It's absolutely not true. Thinking is actually, it's an instrument, actually, extraordinary though it may be, and it can't grasp, it cannot comprehend this conscious presence. And it's something for you to reflect on. I'm not trying to convince you, but for me, conscious presence is always there. It's fundamental in the universe, actually. It's fundamental. The mind is not fundamental. The individual mind, extraordinary. And in my concept, the individual mind links into the cosmic mind, or the Akashic records, whatever you want to call it, collective unconscious, whatever you want to call it. The individual mind links into that. But this is something that we can't understand, actually, but we can only realize it. And we can only realize it when we are in a receptive state. And in fact, ideally a non-thinking state. And everyone here has had those moments where the mind is shut off, closed down, and you don't become a zombie, but you go on to a different level of realization. And that other level of realization is conscious presence. And even if there's no person there, even if I am not there or you are not there, it is still there. Because it's the fundamental conscious presence of the universe. As individuals, we are expressions, actually, which come out of conscious presence. Don't think about it, because if you think about it, you will miss it. The only way we can realize it is by meditation, doing our practice, being open, being humble. Also, I would say humility is very, very important. We can't think it through. Impossible. We may see descriptions, and descriptions are fine, but no, descriptions are not it. And this is the thing about yoga. We have to let go of our concepts. It doesn't mean we become foolish. It doesn't mean we believe 6 impossible things before breakfast. But it means we realize thinking is extraordinary, no doubt. We use it to navigate our life. We need thinking to live, 100% sure. But there has to come the understanding that only when thinking stops, or if we see the limitation of thinking, can we really get a realization of this conscious presence. And then we realize that actually the conscious presence doesn't depend on me as an individual. It doesn't depend on you as an individual either. Me as an individual, you as an individual, it comes out of it. Our thinking, feeling, emotions, it comes out of it actually. And it's difficult for us because all of us here, definitely including me, we have been educated from earliest age in the materialistic paradigm. And we've taken this to be the description of reality. Even though science is basically still following that materialistic paradigm, that the reality of the world, the universe is matter, now pioneering science, quantum physicists and so forth, they are realizing that actually the basis for the universe is not matter. This is totally inexplicable, but it is consciousness actually. And I think in the next, it's slowly taking place in science, it's just touching the edges. But I really feel and know almost that in the next few years, that consciousness will be at the very center of scientific paradigms. Let's be humble, let's be humble and realize that life, our life, everyone's life and existence, it is far, far stranger, far more extraordinary than our conceptual understanding. And I must say, in my case, I had to be kicked up the backside quite a few times for me really to let go of my assumption that everything could be understood by thinking. Yeah, there's a question here. It is wonderful to see the significant and hopefully lasting impact on our culture of Black Lives Matter. However, I find it very sad that the Extinction Rebellion movement hasn't had the same impact. Why does the human race put so little value on the earth? And how can we encourage people to see if we don't stop abusing it and instead start treating it with some degree of compassion, it will eventually die. Many thanks. Absolutely. And really, as I've mentioned in previous satsangs, I think it's good that worldwide there have been demonstrations by all colors actually, all skin colors, about black prejudice. And that's fantastic, no question. And if I remember my history, the slavery, I'm thinking of America now actually, slavery was abolished, I think about 1865. And that's 150 years ago, more or less. But, you know, in the southern states of America, they were still treating black people abysmally in the 60s, I remember actually. So it's taken all that time to then and even to now for there to be a realization that skin color is actually, it's just a different color. So what? You know, it seems to be so immature that we are judging people by skin color. It's completely and utterly absurd. And so it's good, even 150 years later in America, but all over the world, of course, that, you know, this is really being put on a fast burner so that we can address this issue. And I say, I've said it 3 times already. I was so touched to see that in the demonstrations which erupted actually spontaneously, it seems, all over the world, there were white people, black people, pink people, yellow people, all kinds of people. That is fantastic. Yeah, it's true. The Extinction Rebellion has kind of lost its headlines. It hasn't faded away, but it hasn't been kind of up there, and it needs to get up there. It really does need to get up there, because, and I think the way to do it is really to push for more documentaries. I know David Attenborough produced some fantastic documentaries about nature and how we're wiping out so many species worldwide and rapidly. It's ridiculous. I think we need more information. We need a campaign in the same way that Black Lives Matter has been really brought to the surface and brought to everyone's attention. I think that same, what's the word, impact should be there for these other issues, which will decide the fate of humankind and all these other creatures, and indeed of the planet itself. I think we need more shocking information, because we think, well, it doesn't affect me, but it does. If it doesn't affect us, it's going to affect our children, grandchildren. What is the relationship between one's individuality and one's personality and one's soul in this mind-heart separation, taking things personally and taking things to heart? Thank you. We have a mind, we have emotions, we have feelings, we have a physical body, but there is something which I call conscious presence, but other people would use the word soul. I have no objections. There might be slightly different connotations in the word soul, but I'm not sure it means basically the same thing. Something that is underlying our personality. And we're all living our lives using our personality or expressing our personality. And part of that is that we take things seriously. Some things annoy me, some things annoy you, certain situations. And in terms of climate, of course, we should be annoyed, in my feeling, and black matters also. But nevertheless, the structure of our mind and our feelings is such that sometimes we get pushed and we get provoked to seeing where we are perhaps blocked. And doesn't mean we can't feel, and doesn't mean we can't be angry. Sometimes anger is good, I think. But it's when we are stuck in repetitive ways of acting and thinking and feeling and emoting that causes us problems. And spirituality, yoga, doesn't mean that we have to reject our personality. It just means that we have to get a feeling for or a realization of that which underlies our personality. Rejection is not necessary, but we know certain things get us into trouble. In my life, I've seen certain ways of behaving have got me into trouble. It's no question. And each one of you sitting there now will also know, oh yes, the way that I thought, the way that I behaved, my emotions got me into trouble actually, and caused a cloud of imbalance in my personality for a while, and then maybe a few days, maybe a few hours. So yeah, that is why it's important. And we do look at life pushes us into situations where we see where our capacity to act is somehow blocked, or it is repetitive, or it is mechanical. And the aim of yoga actually is to be so in the moment that whatever needs to express in the moment is correct for the moment and for the situation. Otherwise, a lot of our actions, they're based on past conditioning. Conditioning is there, of course, but it's based on memories, expectations, and all this kind of stuff. But when we are in the zone, when we are really tuned in, then what we do in the moment is the right response. Whether it's anger, whether it's love, whatever it is absolutely correct for the moment. Why is it correct? Because there's no programmed, fixed responses in our thinking. Conditioning is there. I mean, our personality is conditioned, there's no question. So this is being in the moment, means being present in the moment. And all the time our mind is taking us out of the moment. Everything is the moment, even when you're thinking of the future or the past, it's still the moment. But still thinking in the moment about the future or about the past, it takes us away from the vividness, the depth of the now. And when we are really in the now, then we can get an appreciation of what I call conscious presence.